Ready to look at camera 3. 9. 5.87.
How much loud is too much?
I need a sound check for Granny.
And what about commentators? If you want, so be prepared to get us help and local Burger King for a walk.
Hello, and welcome to CCTV News. It's Monday, December 10th. I'm Jessica Hume with Daniela Payne. And here are the top stories. Former media baron Conrad Black will be sentenced today for his involvement in defrauding publishing company Hollinger International. Canada's most prolific serial killer, Robert Willie Pickton, is found guilty in New Westminster, BC. And Environment Minister John Baird is in Bali this week, joining representatives of 186 other nations to figure out a game plan for combating climate change. After months of rumors of speculation, this morning, Canada's two largest stock exchanges, Toronto and Montreal, announced they will merge into one in a $1.3 billion deal. And now for our top story.
Conrad Black, or Connie as we can call him, is set to receive his sentencing today for part in defrauding publishing company Hollinger International. Black was found guilty of 3 counts of fraud and 1 count of obstruction of justice this past July in Chicago. Black's lack of remorse and the amount of money he received in non-compete payments will affect his sentencing. While Black remains his innocence, the former media baron can spend up to 35 years in a U.S. prison. Legal experts expect Black to serve between 7 and 12 years in jail. Black has said that spending time in jail will only compound the injustice of the vendetta against him.
After a 10-month trial for the murder of 6 women, the jury found BC pig farmer Robert Willie Pickton guilty of 6 counts of second-degree murder. While it only took the jury 10 days to reach its verdict, not everyone is taking comfort in the jury's decision. Second-degree murder means the jury wasn't convinced Pickton had planned the killings, which is why the killer's sentencing is cold comfort for many. Family members and victims were among those most disappointed by the verdict. RCMP investigator Bill Forty said Pickton, please stop. Okay. RCMP investigator Bill Forty said Pickton will most likely get 25 years, which is the length of a life sentence in Canada. But even still, Pickton may never face trial for the 20 other women he may have murdered. BC's Attorney General said no inquiry would be held.
Brampton is up in arms about the condition of the state-of-the-art Brampton Civic Hospital. Bramptonians for Better Healthcare, a local grassroots organization, held a peaceful protest march along Brampton's Queen Street East yesterday, starting at City Hall. The group blames a staff shortage and long wait times for the recent deaths of Harnek Sidhu and Armajit Nawal, who died while under the hospital's care. Green Party candidate for Bramalea Gore Malton area, Bruce Haynes, helped organize yesterday's events and complained that Brampton, one of the fastest growing cities in Canada, has not received adequate healthcare funding. Bramptonians for Better Healthcare has a list of 5 demands, including reducing the sometimes 24-hour emergency room wait times.
Environment Minister John Baird has announced $85.9 million over the next 4 years to help Canadians deal with climate change. Baird is in Bali this week along with representatives of 186 other nations to figure out how to combat climate change. Developing countries such as India and China are urging developed countries like Canada and the U.S. to take a lead on climate change. The former countries say developed nations have caused significant environmental damage and should therefore work extra hard to reduce their ecological footprints. Baird has said Canada will not sign any agreement of which India, China, and the U.S. are not a part. A longtime enemy of the environmental movement, Baird earned his reputation as one of Canada's most reviled people as a result of his government's intensity-based emissions targets. Ontario Premier Dalton McGuinty has said those targets will actually see Canada's greenhouse gas emissions rise. A man and woman were found shot to death inside an SUV yesterday morning close to Peterborough.
Though the police are not looking for any suspects, investigators are hesitant to refer to the incident as a murder-suicide. A woman has been identified as Angela Sador, a London, Ontario grade 6 teacher. She owned the found SUV, which was sought by police in an attempted homicide. The Special Investigations Unit has been assigned to the case. Durham police found the SUV along Highway 115, and the road was closed for the remainder of yesterday. East York community members gathered to celebrate Stanley G. Grizzle at the renaming of the Main Street Parkette in his honor. Charlene Callahan has this report.
The rain didn't dampen anyone's spirit, including Mr. Stanley Grizzle.
Yes, I can imagine.
It was not long ago that I read Mr. Grizzle's book, My Name's Not George, the story of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters in Canada. And it inspired me to think about how we might recognize Mr. Grizzle, who is a longtime resident of this neighborhood. And I thought about this park.
Family and community members were there to support Stanley Grizzle.
I find that his accomplishments have really motivated me to achieve and to be ambitious as well. There have been very few members of my family that have actually sort of gone on to higher education, and that was something, a big part because of him, that I decided to do for myself.
I'm here today because I'm very honored that the George is having this honor. He has served this city, and he has done a lot, not only for the black folks, but everyone in this country.
If everybody follows Stan's example and stands up and does the right thing, even when it's hard. And I hope all of you can do that.
Don't get mad. Get smart and stay in school. That's right.
Well, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the crowds have cleared here at 21 Kism Avenue, but the plaque still remains for Stanley G. Grizzle. And so will the spirit of Mr. Grizzle himself. I'm Charlene Callahan with CCTV News.
While Toronto remains to be one of the safest cities in the world, there have been 80 homicides this year. Most victims and victimizers have been non-white. Brian Raybould, the head of the Toronto Police Homicide Squad, says involvement in gang lifestyles, involvement in the sex, drug, and trade, and weapons increase a person's chances of getting murdered. Many are concerned that because numbers show a disproportionately large number of black youths involved, people will think of Toronto's violence as a black issue. To avoid perpetuating racism and simplistic attitudes towards Toronto's violence, many are calling for citywide involvement and more resources to combat this issue.
Christopher Smith, who suffers from schizophrenia, was deported to Jamaica earlier this year. However, upon arrival, enforcement officials did not take him to psychiatric hospital as promised. When he arrived in Jamaica, Smith was left at the airport and found roaming on the streets of Kingston naked, a relative of Smith said. He was brought back to Canada last month under the order of Justice Frederick Gibson. The request is unusual, as it is rare that a deportee is monitored after they have left Canada. Smith, who never applied for citizenship, arrived in Canada in 1987. But Smith won't be on Canadian soil for long. Another removal proceeding has been initiated, and he will be deported again on January 18th.
After months of rumors, Canadians will witness the country's two biggest stock exchanges become one. Early this morning, the Montreal and Toronto Stock Exchanges announced a $1.3 billion merger. Though it will be managed in Toronto, derivatives trading is expected to remain in Montreal. And now here's Matt Raisu with the latest in entertainment.
Thanks, Jessica. The man who helped make Oprah Winfrey and Alex Trebek famous died of a stroke last weekend. Roger M. King was CEO of CBS Television Distribution. He fell ill at his home in Boca Raton, Florida on Friday before dying Saturday in hospital. King World Productions, his well-known television company, merged with CBS in 2000. King's syndicated shows Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy have been in the top 3 syndicated television shows for over 2 decades. His father, Roger King, started King World in 1964. King was inducted into the National Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2004. He was 63. The National Ballet of Canada will broadcast its performance of The Nutcracker to 69 Cineplex entertainment theaters this Christmas season. But at least one regional ballet isn't happy about the decision to beam the show across the country on December 22nd. Alberta Ballet is concerned the simulcast will eat into attendance at its usually sold-out performances. The national company is following in the footsteps of popular operas such as New York's Metropolitan, which have broadcasted live shows for years. The Nutcracker runs from December 8th through the 30th at the Four Seasons Centre. And that's the latest in entertainment. Stay with us for more after the break.
Central on CTV. Polite society tells us that it's rude to stare. But then along came the 2005 Nissan Altima with a new redesigned interior and a sleek, new, refined exterior. So go ahead, stare. Frankly, it'd be rude not to. Now get the 5S Extra loaded with $1,000 worth of recharge options.
Looking for affordable home ideas? Come to a Sears Home Store. It's the Buyer's Best Buy sale. Get this Dream Fiber sofa for just $899.99. Plus, get this queen-size sleigh bed for just $899.97. And don't pay until January 2006. For great selection, great prices, and great service, there's only one place you need to go. Sears.
Well, when you work in television, you want to make people happy. You should have a great smile. My teeth were just brutal. I had to do something about it, so I had to find somebody I could trust.
I'm Dr. Mark Coachman, and I personally make sure everyone receives the most advanced care no matter how serious their condition. Together, we can achieve the smile makeover you deserve.
The Coachman Center, 1-888 Newmouth.
So change your smile.
And change your life. Thanks, buddy.
Santa Margherita is the saint of impossible causes. Men pray to her when they need to be forgiven. Women pray to her when they are going to have children.
From the depths of tradition comes an epic story of one family's quest for forgiveness. Sophia Loren in a CTV exclusive Lives of the Saints. Coming in January. Brought to you in part by Scotiabank. Life, money, balance both.
Melissa Reimers runs her family like a military regime. But she has swapped places with Cindy Bittner, who lets her family do pretty much whatever they want. For the first week, they live by each other's rules. But then they get to change things and run the house the way they want. The big moment has finally arrived. The wives are about to come face to face with their new families.
Welcome to your home.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Steve Bittner.
Steve, pleasure to meet you.
It's not natural to look this way.
I know it's not. It's really annoying. You want to lean. I was leaning.
Welcome back. Taking a look at the top sports headlines this morning. The Raptors win. The Leafs look to win. And can the Patriots do anything but win? Now here's Athena to tell you a bit more.
Thank you, Paul. The Toronto Raptors put a stop to their two-game losing streak by defeating the Houston Rockets 93-80 at the Air Canada Centre yesterday. Forward Chris Bosh scored 21 points and added 10 rebounds in his first game back after being sidelined for 5 games with a groin injury. The Raptors were down by 11 points at halftime, but clawed back to take the lead in the fourth quarter and the eventual victory. Next up, the 11-10 Raptors go on the road to play the Atlanta Hawks on Tuesday.
The Leafs look to rebound tonight from a 2-1 loss Saturday night, leveled by the Boston Bruins. Despite outshooting the Bruins 26-20, the Blues were unable to capitalize on their chances. It was ultimately their power play that let the Leafs down, going 0 for 6. Ranked 29th in the league in this category, should the shortcoming really surprise anybody? The Leafs will try and avoid getting struck, I should say, when the puck drops tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning at 7:30 at the Air Canada Centre.
Tom Brady and the New England Patriots continued their perfect season as they cruised over the Pittsburgh Steelers to a 34-13 victory yesterday. Brady threw 4 touchdown passes
and is 4 scoring passes shy of Peyton Manning's record of 49 set in 2004. The Patriots are now 13-0 and could be the first team to go 17-0 since the 1972 Miami Dolphins. The current Dolphins continued their own streak yesterday, losing their 13th game of the season to the Buffalo Bills for a dismal 0-13 season.
American boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr. improved his unbeaten record to 39-0 Saturday night in Las Vegas. The 10th-round victory for Mayweather came after a devastating left hook was delivered right to the Manchester doorstep of English boxer Ricky Hatton. The jar-jarring shot sent the Brit to the canvas for a second time in the bout. Hatton's corner threw in the towel at the minute 35 mark of the round. With the win, Mayweather collects a reported $11 million paycheck.
Canadian speed skater Denny Morrison finished in second place yesterday at the World Cup Speed Skating Series stop in the Netherlands. The BC native took the silver medal in the men's 1,000-meter race, losing to American Shawnee Davis by only 0.3 of a second with a time of 1:08. Davis leads all skaters with 330 points in the series. Toronto native Jeremy Witherspoon is currently third overall with 250 points.
Kevin Martin captured his 4th Skins Game title yesterday in hot Canadian curling action. The win came over Ontario's Wayne Middaugh in the Casino Rama Skins Game. The win earned Martin a $61,000 paycheck and brought his career Skins Game winnings to well over $300,000. The losing effort for Middaugh was his 11th final in 14 attempts, a record. Middaugh still leads the Skins Game career money earnings category. Yesterday's meeting was the 3rd time the two have faced one another in the final.
Indiana Pacers guard Jamal Tinsley literally dodged a bullet Sunday morning during a shooting outside an Indianapolis hotel. The star basketball player, along with equipment manager Joey Catato, were shot at 7 times while inside Tinsley's Rolls-Royce. One of the bullets hit Catato in the elbow, and he was taken to Methodist Hospital. According to police, Tinsley and several Pacer teammates were targeted after a confrontation with another party outside of a nightclub. Tinsley was not hurt in the incident.
And leaving the best for last, English Premier Soccer side Arsenal was dealt their first loss of the season yesterday. The 2-1 loss to Middlesbrough left Arsenal with a 1-point lead in the Premiership standings. The win was Middlesbrough's first victory in any competition since the beginning of September. That's a look at the world of sports. Now over to Matthew Liebenberg for his thoughts about the climate change conference in Bali.
Thank you, Paul. I've decided to do something about climate change. Why now, you might ask? Well, countries are meeting in Bali to talk about climate change, but it's clear we can't rely on our governments. The Bali meeting discusses new climate change targets for 5 years from now. It's then that commitments under the Kyoto Protocol end. But here's the catch. The enforcement period for Kyoto only starts next year. And what happens if countries don't meet those targets? Nothing. Oh, I forgot. They will have to make up for their bad behavior with higher targets under the new protocol. And if they can't meet that, well, they'll just make another promise. Nothing is in any case the best or as much as Canada can hope to achieve. With the Conservative Party's plan, it will take Canada more than 10 years from now just to achieve its Kyoto targets. Perhaps that's why Environment Minister John Baird is not really talking about commitments at Bali. Canada is one of the 4th worst performing countries on a new climate change performance index. Mr. Baird should rather follow the example of the country that's in 2nd place on that index, Germany. Instead of waiting to see what other countries are doing or not doing, Germany is actually taking some action. It's focusing on improving its own position, and it announced ambitious targets to increase its use of renewable resources. Until then, my choice is clear. Mr. Baird's commitment to climate change, or my own commitments. Thank you. Stay for the break. After the break, we'll be back.
Few relationships in life are more important than the one between you and your Michelin tires. Rugged, long-lasting Michelin light truck tires. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Welcome back. Winter is upon us. Snow surrounds the sidewalks and stairs are becoming increasingly slippery. So this makes it a crucial time for Torontonians to sit down and take a lesson in walking. That's right, walking. It seems many people in our city don't know how to walk. And this fact becomes more apparent in the winter. You'd assume it's a simple task, 1 foot at a time, legs pumping, arms swinging, but for whatever reason, many forget the most important part. You walk on the right side. Too often I'm taking a walk, on the right, of course, only to be forced to stop and move to the other side of the sidewalk. The person who approached me decides to not only walk on the left side, but refuse to move to the right side, which is, I remind you, the right side. I encountered the same problem going up and down escalators. Too many people are oblivious to the fact that you stand on the right and walk on the left. And once again, a similar problem is seen with people entering and exiting malls and TTC stations. You always use the door on the right. These simple rules, if they continue to be ignored, will be the downfall of our society. So the next time you decide to venture outside, please refer to this rule book to guide your feet. And those are my thoughts. For CCTV News, I'm Travis Prasad. Now back to the news desk for a final word.
Thank you, Travis. And now recapping our stories today. Former media baron Conrad Black will be sentenced today for his involvement in defrauding publishing company Hollinger International. Canada's most prolific serial killer, Robert Pickton, is found guilty in New Westminster, BC. And Environment Minister John Baird is in Bali this week, joining representatives of 186 other nations to figure out a game plan for battling climate change.
And that's what's making news this hour. Stay with us for more news coming up. On behalf of us all here at CCTV News, thanks for watching.
Ready to go to camera 3. And I've been asking for 9. 5.07. How much loud is it too much? All I know is I want to go to the bottom. And if I commentate if you want, so be prepared to get a towel and go to Burger King for a walk.